10 critical components for an effective butterfly habitat. So now we're going to get into some specifics now that we know about host plants. Now that we know the difference between host plants that caterpillars eat and nectar flowers that adult butterflies drink from, we are ready to start doing some more tangible work on planting our butterfly garden. The first component that's necessary is the balance of sunshine and shade. Butterflies are essentially cold-blooded animals. They're what we call ectotherms. A butterfly cannot move unless its body temperature is at a certain level, and each species requires a different level. That's why you'll see some kinds of butterflies flying on cooler days and other kinds on warmer days. So as ectotherms, they cannot regulate their body temperature the way humans can. They have to get warm using things in their environment. So sunshine is a very obvious way and common way that they make themselves warm. A lot of times you might see butterflies resting with their wings open to the sun, and what they're doing is capturing heat energy to get their bodies warm enough to be active. Now, a butterfly wants to be active because they have lots of predators, and if they're not active, they might get eaten. You might even sometimes see a butterfly resting and it almost looks like it's shivering, and that's pretty much a true statement. They will sometimes vibrate their wings in an effort to create heat to get themselves warm enough to be able to fly. And you might especially see this in the early morning, like when the sun is first coming up and it's not really warm yet, or in the evenings. Butterflies are more active on warm, sunny days because that's when they can get energy more easily. Another reason that sunshine is important is because most plants that flower require sunshine to make flowers. So as a gardener, you probably know this, certain plants create flowers more prolifically if they have more sunlight. And so when it comes to planting your butterfly garden, what I would suggest is, if at all possible, put your garden in the place in your yard that's going to get the most sunshine. Now, for those of us in the northern hemisphere, that means we want the southern side of our property, if possible. And I know this is not always possible. This is just ideally speaking. But if you're in the northern hemisphere, you want southern exposure. If you are in the southern hemisphere, which is south of the equator, you want northern exposure. You want the place that's going to get generally the most sunshine for the longest part of the year, or at the very least the longest part of the warm months of your year. Now, shade is not necessarily a bad thing, and the sun moves. So regardless of where you plant your garden, there are times where it will be in the sun and times where it will be in the shade. It's just most butterflies aren't really interested in shade because shade generally comes with lower temperatures, which means slower development. And while there are some butterflies that will be active in the shade, most of them prefer sunny areas. And some butterflies won't even lay eggs if it's shady. So we just want the place with the most sun. And that is the first critical component of a butterfly garden. And that is the first critical component of a butterfly garden, having as much sunshine as possible.